hang out with other grown-ups. It's always nice to do that. Well, for this, I had it in my email. I read through them this afternoon.
This is the long one. This is the one with the extension cord.
I saved it today.
That's what I said. You said this opens up.
Good evening. We're going to call this meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. At the conclusion of the Pledge of Allegiance, if Mr. Blease, Mr. Blair, Mr. Francis, and Mr. Kennedy can go out to the hallway, we're going to start with our interviews one at a time while the other candidates are outside. So if we could please stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recorded, all right. Just for the board, for Ms. Ramirez's first day, just so she gets acclimated, I'm going to go through and say your names. Just say if you're here. Mr. Obi. Here. Mr. Monahan.
I think I'm
Mr. Vandenberg.
here.
Mr. Fainal.
Here.
Mr. Snyder.
Here.
Mr. Buscemi.
Here.
Ms. Price. All recorded? All right, thank you. The purpose for this meeting is to interview candidates for the vacant Region 3 School Board position and for any other business that is properly presented. At this time, we have Billy Weiss. If you please come to the podium. Ms. Weiss, you'll have 5 minutes to say whatever you'd like us to know. We do have all the candidates' information submitted prior, and there will be time for some board questions.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, welcome. Good evening to the members of the board, the administration, the teachers, community members, past, present, and future Easton Area High School students. My name is Billy Weiss, and I am an alumni of Easton Area High School class of 1985. I am a parent of an alumni, and I have a daughter who's currently a senior at the time. I've been a community member for 47 years, and I've worked in this district on special projects with many people, administrators, teachers, principals, alcohol, PTSA, citizenship awards, and booster clubs. I'm a current project director at Lafayette College, recently promoted, and my foundation for Lafayette College is that I have a strong focus in student education, advancement towards becoming a well-respected citizen as they continue in their college or work life past Lafayette. I also mirror this with students in the Easton Area High School District, all students in high school. I thought very long and hard of what I was going to say when I came up here. And I had a long speech prepared talking about all of my skills and all of my knowledge and how I could represent this district. And I threw it away because I decided that we're all qualified. That's why we applied for this position. And you are going to appoint the person you feel is going to represent the district the best. And I'm going to represent the district the best because I'm going to shoot from the heart here. Because I am an alum and I love this district. I love the students that participate, in this district. My interest in filling this vacant position, the Region 3 position, on the Easton Area School Board, comes from interest in maintaining a positive and productive momentum in helping our district, including our students and our community members, grow and develop into a strong organization. I bleed red, black, and white from deep inside, and I want to continue to provide a strong foundation for our current and future students. When our school district strives, our community strives, and so does our school spirit. I realize tonight that my foundation was set forth by past district members such as yourself, and provided me great opportunities that no other district can hold a candle to. Our students have the opportunity, which allow them to grow to be well-rounded individuals. I'd like to see a stronger, more resilient district that engages students to become respected community members and future board members. I feel that I would be a positive and productive voice representing fair and unbiased decisions to continue this movement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the board has a question?
Billy, what made you come forward at this point?
That's a good question, because I actually was going to run a couple years ago, well, about 10 years ago, and then I decided not to. I went back to college to finish my degree, to continue to get my master's degree, and I just thought it was going to be too much at the time. My daughter was still at Eastern High, she was young, my son was starting college, and I wanted to focus a little bit on that.
I have two questions.
Sure.
The first one is the position that you're seeking. If you're interested in holding that position after this year, you'd have to begin getting your paperwork signed the 17th of February. Is that something you're looking to do after this first year? Are you looking to run for the 4-year seat? Or?
I'm on the fence about it. I haven't really decided fully. I'd like to give this a try and see how this is going to engulf my life and see. But yes, it's definitely an option. It's there.
And my second one, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge facing public education at this time in Pennsylvania?
Collaboration and maintaining kind of a continuum among all of the school board, the administration, community members, to make sure that there is no child that, and I don't want to use the child no left behind, but no child that falls through the cracks. There's a lot of opportunities at Easton High School, and I do sometimes think that the students here aren't engaged in all of them. And I think that's a big challenge that we've always had, and I just think it seems like there's a bigger gap in it, and I'd like to get that gap closed.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Mr. Snyder?
Yes, if I could just have some clarification. I'm looking under your education here, BA in psychology. I would assume you're on track then to graduate over the summer.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then it looks like from there you're enrolling in a master's program, Chestnut Hill, Philadelphia. Will that be something that may conflict with your attend meetings, participate in committees, other events that as indicated, or will this be something you're going to balance?
I'm going to balance it well.
Are you going to have online and?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I will say it hasn't affected my life right now. Matter of fact, I had to up some classes because one was just getting too boring for me. I like to keep it moving and shaking. So
Okay.
no, that won't interfere. I won't.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Blees? Yes, Mr. Blees, can you get Mr. Persack? Thank you. There you go. Good evening, Mr. Blees.
Good evening. Appreciate the time tonight, too.
Yes, sir. We have your information you sent to us. It was reviewed. You have 5 minutes to tell us whatever you like, and then the board will ask you a few questions.
Sure. Appreciate the time. See the sign about diversity. Again, I'd like to share a bit about my background. I think I would have made the board a little bit more diverse based on my experiences at work, my education, and again, I built my thoughts on the district's areas of improvement that I think I'd help the board improve. The background is as an engineer at Lehigh University. I was taught to collect new facts, analyze trends and data, and then really develop out actions on why things occur for school systems. Again, I'm very cautious about intended consequences from our decisions. That's manifested in my work as a design engineer in design failure mode effect analysis, process failure mode effect analysis, and really reviewing what happened along with the So again, I'm very cautious, just changing things without diving into facts and details. At work, again, again, all these details helps me as a design engineer, help lead teams, brainstorming ideas, setting goals, developing paths to these solutions. And again, I've been pretty successful with this. I have over 10 utility design patents to my name or my team members' names as they going back. So I'm very proud of it. And again, it's an accomplishment for me to have the backing. We don't always go and get patents for everything that we possibly could do. A lot of things fail out. Again, we spike them ourselves. So again, we have to be able to have the fortitude to say no on some ideas and not really develop them where it doesn't make enough business and financial sense at that point. Also, you have to have a lot of perseverance in design engineering. You have to make sure people get their tasks done, follow through on their commitments to help the team forward. And again, it's a good way to make sure you nudge people forward in a kind, gentle manner, but yet you still got to be diligent and patient. Whenever you make decisions and act on them, you don't get results immediately. Again, it's like sailing a ship. When you start making turns, it's not this fast. Bigger ship, such as a school board and the budgets we have, it's going to take a little bit longer before we see the effects over time. So, again, that's some of the details from my background in school and engineering and my work practice. I'd also like to share some of my thoughts on where the school's going. I'm not going to make any bones about it. I mean, if I look at my tax bill, Easton is the highest tax bill in the county. And I'm not here to complain or crank about my taxes. I'm not exactly thrilled with the results we've been getting with the PSSA scores. I'd like to see some improvements there, and just throwing money more just to try to improve these scores, it's just a knee-jerk reaction. And I don't think that's. I don't think we get the right bang for our buck per se with the highest tax bills in the Northampton County. If we look where we're ranked in PSSA between the math scores and the reading scores, we're 5th best or even 6th best out of the 9 school districts. I think we really need to look at some of the cause and effects there and where we can improve. Also, I saw in the November notes the PSSA scores. I did not see the 11th grade results published where they are against the rankings. Looking back at the 2012 rankings, I see there's really a big drop-off between the 8th grade to the 11th grade. They're above average, and then they're below average varying degrees. I find this very, very disappointing, especially as we train and are getting our children ready to head off to college for their placements and possible development for STEM careers. In STEM careers, it's where America is going to go forward, and really we're not really as prepped as we need to be in those areas. So I think with my experience and background, I'd like to share my zest for data analysis to help review and help this board moving forward. I know this board has inherited some legacy financial problems. There's been some tough decisions that had to be made. And I really hope to be able to help with my background to work on that with you. I also would like to note I do have a daughter in the school district, and that is part of my reason that I'm here and willing to serve. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Why not?
Well, Mr. Fennell, that's a good question. My father has been very sick. He had a private business. I've been helping run that over the last couple of years. And he suffers from muscular dystrophy, so it's been a bit of time for helping my mom with his medical issues. I also have had a lot of projects at work that I've been traveling nationally. So it really has freed up a little bit with my current job where I can dedicate some more time to the district.
Thank you. Mr. Blease, I have 2 questions. The first one, the seat you're applying for has 1 year left on the term. If you plan on running for the 4 years, you'd have to begin circulating your petition and running on February 17th. Is that something you plan to do, to run for the 4-year term? Or?
Can't really make that commitment. I do expect that it will be a sizable amount of time, but I do want to see how this goes. I have not ruled it out.
Okay. And the second question is, what is the biggest challenge facing public education in Pennsylvania, in your opinion?
My opinion, it's continues to be the pension that's been kicked down the road over the years. Back on top of it, it's I believe it will be economically unviable at the continued pace that it's on.
Thank you.
And the fact that it's going to go up so high.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Blair? Oh, you guys have it on the agenda, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Blair, how are you?
Good yourself. Good evening, everyone.
Good. We have your information you sent us. So at this time, you have 5 minutes to tell us about yourself or whatever you want to tell us, and then the board will ask you a few questions.
Do I have the further questions included in my 5 minutes, or should I just leave
You
some
can just
time?
use your 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Good evening again, everyone. My name is Tyree Blair, Senior. I'm an Easton High School graduate. I started here in Easton. My family moved from New Jersey into the Easton area. At 3rd grade, went to Cheston for 3rd and some of 4th grade. Then over to Paxinosa, continued my educational career through the Easton program. Played football at Easton High School, ran track there as well. After that, went off to Penn State. During that time, I had my little boy. He was born my orientation day actually at Penn State, which always makes that time to me special. I knew I had to still achieve the goal I set out to do when I was a little boy. Always wanted to be a lawyer my whole life. I'm glad I was able to achieve that. I'm licensed in multiple states, most close to New Jersey. But going to Penn State and having a son, it at an early age helped build character and dedication, determination, and discipline. I tell everybody I live my life in 3D, and that's what it is. My reasoning for wanting to actually come and join and be a part of this board is because I want to be able to give back to the place that helped me get started. Like I said, going through the Easton area program for all my years, I want to be able to reach back, not give a handout, but reach back and pull the next kid up and let them know that their dream is also obtainable. No matter what the adversity, no matter what obstacles you may have to overcome, as long as you stay true to your dream and your goal, you can achieve that goal. Many people probably would have gave up after having a child, young like I did, and not pursue those extra 7 years of school. But I did not. I double majored when I was at Penn State, worked essentially full time, and continued off to law school. And between that time, I was hired, took a promotion. I used to work at a nursing home. I became the 6th man empowered at that nursing home at the age of 23. I overseen a multi-million-dollar nursing home chain here in the state of Pennsylvania. The assistant to the vice president of operations. And a lot of people probably would have stopped there, but not me, because I had a dream, like I said, when I was about 4 years old. And that dream was to be a lawyer. So I walked away from the money to continue my dream. Education is truly important to me. I instill that into my children, which I have 3 of. Wife the same. I tell her the same thing. You know, education is extremely important. My son takes advantage of different programs that the school currently has. The gifted program. He's band. He's the 6th grade class senator rep at large. So to me, education is that stepping stone, that bridge to get to where you really want to go. I instill in him that hard work, and dedication, discipline, determination. That's what's going to pay off. Not for anything to ever be given to you. Given the opportunity to be on the board, I'd like to be able to influence other young children the same way and bridge that gap between the child that may have both parents at home versus the ones that don't, and that lack of interaction that might take place there that will push you forward. My parents weren't always together prior to them getting back together. I know exactly what that's like to be a child of a single parent. I think I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I'll be able to relate to these children and do that same. While at law school, I worked in the admissions department there, and helped not even children, because at that point in time, you're over 22, because you at least had to get an undergrad degree. You had to at least get that done. Help other kids get to the next level. I was a teacher assistant because my whole thing was giving back. And like I said, education is key to succeed in life. I know that you may not always have the money to be comparable to that next person's status in life, but education will open doors that money can't. And I'd like to be able to just push that back into the youth of this area. I'll stop
Thank
there
you.
for questions.
Questions from the board?
Honestly, the first one I've asked, and that is, why now?
Well, I was in Charlotte. I recently came back to the area. I've been practicing law since May of 2014. I wanted to get that under my belt. I've seen this opportunity as a chance to give back. I always wanted to be able to give back to the community in which I was from. So even though I had job opportunities in North Carolina and could have relocated and moved my family there, I wanted to come back to Easton. Charlotte's the warm weather, a lot of fun, big city. But I picked Easton instead because this is the place where it all started for me. So that's why I'm here for you today, sir.
I have two questions. The first one is, the position you're looking to attain today expires in 1 year. And whoever wants to run for that seat must get their papers and begin campaigning and getting their papers filled out starting February 17th. Are you looking to run for this position for a 4-year term?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was the first question. The second one is, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing public education in PA today?
I believe it's disparity of wealth, most likely. As you can see, just the difference probably in the scholastic tests that are given at Cheston versus probably Shawnee Elementary. Not something that can be easily fixed, but poverty versus the two household income probably is the greatest challenge that we have. And because that challenge is not one that's easily fixed by the board, it's going to take maybe more counselors at school, more after-school programs in those areas, better distribution of wealth to those lacking areas without the whole entire state of Pennsylvania, not just the Eastern area. And that's probably the answer you see nationally as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Blair, thank you very much.
Thank you guys for your time.
Can you send Mr. Francis in, please? Thank you. Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Francis.
Good evening.
We have your information that you sent us ahead of time. You will now be given 5 minutes to tell us whatever you'd like, and then the board will ask a few questions.
Hi, my name is Brian Francis. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and present myself consideration for members of the board. My wife and I lived in Colorado for 4 years. We get out here in 1990. Around Salmon. Fell in love with both the neighborhood and College Hill, and actually the whole city. So 5 years turned into 25, pretty quick. We've had 4 children going through the school district. Our 2 older daughters are both graduated from Easton High School. One's at Penn State, one's at Knapp. Our oldest son is with the IU. He's a junior now, but the IU is a different program. And our youngest son's actually a freshman at Easton High School. Got back from his we've been very happy with our children's experience in the school district. All forms we've gone through, school, Shawnee, middle school, high school. It's been a great experience for us as well. Unfortunately, throughout most of my career, I traveled an enormous amount. And it was really difficult for me to try to get back. Now I'm in a position where I don't travel a lot. Actually, I don't travel at all. I'm home every night with my family, and I saw this as an opportunity to give back. And even before the position was open, I'd actually started talking to my wife about maybe running for school district. And this is a way to try to give back to the community a little bit that we've actually benefited so much from. So I'll give you a little bit of my background in 3 minutes and 22 seconds. earned recently in finance from Salem University. Started out my career in research and development, developed and launched products dealing with infectious diseases for blood screening, HIV, hepatitis C, hepatitis B. Worked at Baxter Laboratories in R&D, moved out here, worked at J&J in R&D for 6 years. After transferring my fourth product, I decided to try something new, moved into operations management. That's what steered me to get an MBA in finance. So at J&J, I was in operations management, managed budgets in the $5 million range, capital projects, hiring, firing, expansion plans. Had responsibility for J&J just for manufacturing of all the reagents, about $50 million. Went from there to Orosure Technologies in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, when they were getting ready to launch their rapid HIV test, the OraQuick test. Ran manufacturing there for 4.5 years. Did capital projects anywhere from pocket change, $5,000-$10,000 to $500,000 equipment projects. We built equipment specifically for manufacturing projects. Worked a lot on cross-functional teams, both at J&J and at Baxter. Most companies have gone to cross-functional teams. You don't have single department heads running things, but you have cross-functional teams working together under a program manager who reports to senior management. So I have a lot of experience being a team member and working with teams, with responsibilities for my areas of expertise, but still, we all have to work together to bring a product together. It's not R&D, it's not manufacturing, it's not quality, it's not regulatory, but it's everybody working together towards a common goal. For the betterment of, for us, we were looking to solve healthcare issues. So I was at Orosure, like I said, for 4.5 years running manufacturing. Moved from manufacturing into a tech transfer role, transferring products into manufacturing. Left there 5 years ago or so, went to a company in State College called Salametrics, where I ran all of the operations. After that, I got back home. I was working for Integral Life Sciences, actually in software, doing an enterprise resource project, a global implementation of software that runs all their manufacturing systems. Before we started this project, it was about a $30 million project. My aspect was about $500,000. 36 companies in different countries, all running different software systems. Our job was not only to really develop and install the software, but also to go out and sell all these companies on why it was worth their time and effort to do this, and tell them, what the benefit was going to be. Left Integra about 1.5 years ago to join a venture-funded startup at Lehigh University, started by original founders of Orosure. That brings me here today.
Thank you.
Questions?
You have to ask, and why now? Why at this point? Time to apply for the board.
I can tell you for the last 5 years, I spent 3.5 of them on the road nonstop. I'd leave Sunday night or Monday morning. I'd come back, Thursday night or Friday night. So it was just never an opportunity for me. I was reading through today the board stuff. I have to be at the meetings in order to contribute. I have to be able to meet with committees in order to contribute. And growing through corporate America, I traveled internationally heavily with Orosure, same with J&J. I was never home. I tried to do ski club, help out with sales in the schools and stuff, but now I don't travel. I'm in a fairly stable position, where I'm at, where I won't have to travel. So now is an opportunity for me to do it. Plus, my kids are older, and they really don't need me as much. So
you'd be able to make the meeting.
Oh, I'd absolutely be able to make the meetings.
Thank you. Mr. Francis, I have 2 questions. The first one is the position you're applying for has 1 year left before it expires. And whoever wants to run for this position has to start circulating petition and campaigning February 17th.
Yes.
Is this something you plan on doing? Do you plan on
Yes.
running for the 4 years?
Actually, I do. I was actually, I talked to a friend of ours when I voted in November. I ran into the polling place, and I was talking to her about, wanting to run for school board and, what she thought would be a good way for me to get started and do things. And then, she called me a week later and let me know.
Okay.
Or a week or 2 later when the position was open.
All right. The second question, what is the biggest challenge, in your opinion, facing public education in PA today?
It's funding. It's being able to educate our children and provide them with the opportunities in an environment of, decreasing funding, not increasing funding. And that's not a problem just, to school board. Corporate America, no one's handing out cash to do stuff. You've got to make the best use of your resources and make good decisions on where to spend your money and how to spend it.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
You said Mr. Kennedy, and please.
Once there.
Right. Mr. Kennedy, we had the opportunity to review the information you sent to us. So at this point, you have 5 minutes to tell us whatever you'd like, and then field a couple questions from the board.
Thank you.
Got it.
I am John Kennedy. I live on Cattell Street. This afternoon, I was over at the Middle School Builders Club. That's a Kiwanis sponsored group, school group. When they start up a builders club, they start each year, the first thing they do is they elect officers, president, vice president. And the kids have to stand up in front of their classmates and explain to them why they should vote for them. And they're really nervous and upset. They have a really hard time doing that. I'm sitting back there in the back of the classroom saying to myself, gee, I'm glad I won't be doing that again. And I find myself here. I have an extensive background in education, taught in Ghana, West Africa, Washington, D.C. at one time, and in Puerto Rico for 25 years, Fort Buchanan to be more precise. Schools do a lot of important things, tremendous number across the board socially, but I believe that the most important thing the schools do is prepare students for the rest of their lives. In other words, I believe in outcomes. And I'm not talking about test scores. I'm talking about actual outcomes where it helps students get where they want to go in life. Actually, you have a kind of a slogan on the website, Educating for Life's Journey. And I call it a slogan because it's hard to know what it means, but for me, it means that your schools are designed to prepare students for where they want to get to. And that's a kindergarten, you're prepared for first grade. By fourth grade, you're prepared for middle school. Middle school, you're prepared for high school. And high school, you're ready to go on to whatever you have decided you want to do in life. And I think a lot of that hinges around the quality of your math education in the system. I know when I was teaching calculus at Antilles High School in Fort Buchanan, I had a student come to me one day and he said, Mr. Kennedy, I want to go to West Point. And I did really good in your trigonometry class. Now I want you to, I'm ready to take calculus. I'd be ready to take calculus, but I've decided I want to concentrate this year on football. I want to be captain of the team and be really good, and I don't think I'll have time to do the calculus. And I said, well, you better go check with the people at West Point, and you better go check with the Army recruiter about that. Well, 4 weeks later, he was still in my class, and he was working pretty hard. I asked his dad about it. I said, well, his dad said the recruiter told him the reason people don't do well at West Point is they can't do the mathematics, that the schools don't prepare them for that. And he did get accepted to West Point. He did graduate. In fact, that year we had 5 students accepted to West Point. And those of you involved with prepared counseling says, no, that's almost impossible. And this was in a high school that had a class, I think a senior class of 110. And it was not, they were not all exceptional students, but we really worked at getting every student as far as we could in math and getting them in a position to be able to do what they wanted to do next in life. And all my decision-making, everything I tell you when I come here before the board is really based on the question of outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Question?
I'll start on asking, why now? You've sat in the audience many years and everything. Why now?
The board, I think, is at a time in its history where you have momentum, good positive momentum, and I don't really, you have, I think 5 fine candidates. I don't necessarily need this job, but if I can help you maintain that momentum, that's why I'm here.
Mr. Kennedy, I have 2 questions.
Yes.
The first one is, the position that you're seeking expires in 1 year.
Yes.
And people will have to start circulating petitions and campaigning February 17th. Is that something you plan to do for the 4-year term, or?
I did know that date, and I do not have an answer to that question. I
Okay.
cannot tell you at this time what my plans will be February 14th. I think I would have to make the decision, but 17th is actually, I am aware of that process.
The second question is, what do you think, what do you feel, in your opinion, is the biggest challenge facing public education in Pennsylvania today?
The question of organizing schools in a way so that students can achieve what they want to in life. And I'm open to every kind of possibility as long as it's moving in that direction.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Mr. Perkristak, can you ask the other candidates to come in? Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you.
All right. I want to thank all the candidates who came out and spoke tonight. I mean, we have been very lucky to have such an outstanding group of residents interested in serving their community through our school board. So we want to thank you all for coming out. At this time, I'll ask the board for if they have a nomination, they'd like to nominate someone. Mr. Vanderberg?
I'd like to nominate Attorney Tyree Blair to fill the vacant seat on the school board.
That's a nomination for Mr. Blair. Is there a second?
Second.
So we'll give a second. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, all those, roll call? Roll call vote. Huh?
Ask for other nominations. Just one. Okay.
We usually do one at a time.
Okay, that works.
We're gonna do a
That's what
roll
we did
call
when I
vote.
got
So
appointed.
you just wanna call them out?
Yeah.
Mr. Boucher?
No.
Mr. Fano?
No.
Mr. Monahan? Mrs. Price? No. Mr. Snyder?
No.
Yeah.
Roby?
Yes.
Mr. Vandermark?
Yes.
Two yeses.
I guess I don't count anymore. No. Only responsibility, don't forget me. All right. Is there another motion?
I would like to nominate Billy Weiss.
We have a nomination from Mr. Snyder, from Ms. Weiss. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Ms. Price. Discussion? It's okay.
I'll entertain it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good conversation.
While I definitely appreciate every single candidate that we saw today, I'm literally blown away. I mean, I really think that this is the cream of the crop that showed up for filling this appointment. I think that when we, make this decision, it's very important to take a couple of things into consideration. One of those things being the filling of the next seat. That's something that we, need to be very considerate of, I think, in terms of stability. So I think that as we go voting forward, we should keep that in mind about the rigor that is going to take. So we want to see actually run the election, and we do know the commitment that it takes. And I think that it's important to take into consideration that commitment that there is to running for this race. We heard a lot of great things tonight through all of our candidates, actually not most. We heard a lot of great things from all of our candidates, and I think that whatever the vote turns out to be, we're definitely going to have a very strong person. That is something that shouldn't be gone without being said. But let's just take into consideration some of the things that we need as a board.
Any other comments?
No, I have a quick, can we ask Ms. Weiss if she was going to be, and I agree with Grant. We need this consistency. Personally, I like Ms. Weiss.
Great.
That was my question.
Well, we can't just ask one person a question. Everybody would have to get the same question.
We got that.
I asked everybody.
That was
So she stated it before.
Right, we had the answer already from everybody, so
She stated before that she was.
we don't want to go back and just ask again in person without doing it to everybody else.
She said she wasn't sure, and, like, I would like to see her on the board, but I would like the consistency also. That's why I asked, because that would have influenced.
No, I totally understand. You kind of asked the question already, she answered, but the only thing is there was other people who said not sure as well, and we want to be fair to the best of them. You know what I mean? We kind of blew that one.
Yeah.
So, all right, is there any other comments? Actually, I feel obligated now. I'd just like to go back and ask that same question again to everybody else. I know I asked you all once, but since the question got posed again to the candidate, I'd like to just make sure everybody is treated the same way. Mr. Kennedy, I'm not asking you to change your answer, but I just want to give you an opportunity. Do you plan on running for the position?
I will not commit.
You will not commit. So thank you, sir. Mr. Francis, you are planning on running? Yes, sir. Mr. Blair, you are planning?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Blease, you're not sure? Cannot commit. Thank you. Ms. Weiss, you are running. All right, does everybody have that noted? If there are no further comments, we have a motion and a second to appoint Ms. Weiss to the board. No, I said we have a first and a second. Yeah, now can we roll call vote?
Mr.
Do I try to be too?
I'm sorry. It's my age.
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Roby?
No.
Mr. Vanderberg?
No.
Mr. Pinto?
Yes.
And Mr. Buscemi, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Me.
Yes.
And me.
Mr. Shines? Yeah, you have to, yeah, they have to.
Okay, Ms. Price?
I'm sorry, just for the record, can we do all that over again, please? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we're all on the same.
I feel like I need to keep an eye on this guy over here. So somebody's got to babysit, right?
What are you talking about? Me?
I'm talking about me. No shame over here.
Power vested in me. Would you raise your right hand? I state your name.
I, Billy Rice,
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of the office with fidelity.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you gotta know, you're signing away your firstborn when you do that. So just go ahead and let them know that they're on the way out.
Put it in. Here underneath.
There were 3 when you applied.
Yes, it really is Billy.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I remember that. I figured that there'd be 5 people. That was my guess.
How many were there when I came out? A million?
Yeah, I remember that. They were separated. No, you're stuck.
Ready, first night? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I grab my purse at least?
All right. Before we adjourn, is there any other business, appropriate business from any board members for this meeting at this time? I have one thing that I wanted to mention to the board. I was going to bring it up at the end of next meeting, but I'm going to just do it now. There's something I've been thinking about for years, and more importantly, my last 3 years on the board, and this being my 4th. Baron Bucks, Mr. Freund, I don't want to fall out of the back of the chair. I already mentioned this to him. He's not in favor, but who cares? No, but seriously, there's something that I've been wanting to bring up and see how everybody else feels about it. I really would like to see us begin our meetings with the pledge, roll call, and prayer, as they do in the city and other boards. you know, I thought about that for years, and I really wanted it for the last 3 years, and I haven't been, I don't know what, I've been busy. But I wanted to make sure, starting off this year, we start off with a prayer. It doesn't have to be to a specific deity or religion, if you will, to offend anybody. But I do believe in starting our meetings with prayer, and, you know, we've done some great things. But, you know, we can use all the help we can get, and even if it's divine intervention, we can use that too. So is there any objections from my fellow board members?
Let me just make a comment on that. I think, you know, I'm fairly familiar with some of the, you know, the municipal protocols and things like that, and I would definitely be in favor of some type of indication of security, and even in local code to, you know, for all of our meetings, just to, you know, I would definitely be in favor of it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I really think the board needs legal advice here. The Third Circuit has spoken clearly on the prayer issue here and found it to be a violation of the Establishment Clause. It's different in other kinds of form. I mean, just so you're aware of that, obviously you can take any rule you want, but you need to be aware that the law on this is pretty clear in this circuit.
I'm doing that myself, but I just don't feel comfortable with it starting off a board meeting with the prayer. That's my own opinion. It should be a personal thing, not a within the school system.
Mr. Freund, what did the court say? I didn't.
Court said that, you know, the prayer in this context would be an Establishment Clause violation. It's different in different contexts, but in this context, it would be. In fact, there's even one case that suggests that depending on the reason for a moment of silence, cases have also, or courts have also found that may be a violation, depending on the reason why it's instituted. But I think with the prayer, you need to know that there is potential. There's a potential for a challenge based on a current constitutional law.
I mean, even Congress opens for prayer.
Well, yeah, but it's very different. Congress is Congress is Congress.
I mean, all right. So I heard from Mr. Vandenberg. I heard from Mr. Buscemi. Mr. Price,
I mean,
anyone else?
the board is advised it
I
can
would say
do what
no.
it wants to do.
I would say no.
Mr. Obie
I would say yes.
and Mr. Snyder.
I would lead towards no. Since I've been on the board, I have been praying more.
I second that.
So I observe my faith, so I observe my faith, and I would not. It would not offend me if it were done, but I would lean on the side of no, just more or less with the advice of the solicitor. I would not be, but I mean, if you're open, it's hard to keep that. With religion, it's very hard to keep it non-denominational. It's very difficult to do that. That's where I see the conflict. If you want to have a priest, a reverend, a rabbi, I wouldn't mind from any religious denomination to come and lead us in a prayer or some sort of rite. I would not be opposed to that at all myself. It would not offend me, not because of my faith. I respect other faiths that are different from mine. Somebody would lead politely follow what is led. But again, I don't think there can be much. It's just hard to, I think, feel like everything because there's so many things. And even with Christianity and there's so many
Mr. Barron went a step further in having different people faith.
Yeah.
I'm not saying bring
cause and say the rest of the position of everyone else.
Back up at the next meeting. So, almost get struck by lightning. Thank you all.
Flipping a coin right now.
Sorry, we're going to right now, thank you very much.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye. Uh-oh.
And we're going to open up our standing committee meeting at 7 p.m. We're going to start with number 2.
Right.
Remember the people that are lost
Good evening, everyone. This evening I have a few items to you. The first one would be the student athletic code. This code has been in place well before my time, has been tweaked a little bit here and there, based on some of the things that we've experienced in athletics, but for the most part, this is the core of it, and it's been used well before my time, as I said. The introduction, there are no changes there. PIAA requirements comes right from the PIAA website. If you go through that, again, just standard language. I worked with Aaron Gilsbach on this to make the 1 or 2 revisions that needed to be made. The main part that does need to be revised is in section 4, letter E, the in-school and out-of-school suspension. Attended a little conference over there at King Spry last year, and going over some things with athletic codes and legal. We had in-school and out-of-school suspension was treated a little bit differently, or could have been. So going through this, Ms. Gilsberg and I went through, and she recommended that an in-school or out-of-school suspension be treated the same way. That's the language that she recommended. As I said, this is not something new. She then recommended I bring it to the board to be voted on, because it is given to each student athlete prior to the season beginning. They sign a form, we keep that on file. We allow students to refer back to them. Okay? So I would need this voted on, I would assume, based on Ms. Bach's recommendation, the board meeting next week.
In the establishment schools, whether they be our students or charters or cyber schools or anything else, anybody that is coming back as an athlete.
And if they play for the sports, they receive the year, they sign off, they go over to that, that's collected by my office and kept on file. The knowledge that they receive.
So that is their attendance, so something to verify their attendance. That's whatever the case is. Okay.
Any comments or questions from the athletic coach? Okay, the second one is the fall athletic season report. Get a little PowerPoint there, I'll go through. Go to the next slide. The Interscholastic Athletic Exposure Act, is something that was created years ago by the Department of Education. We have to get athletic directors and complete a massive report with a lot of numbers and figures. This is our second year completing that. That is on our website. The link is there under athletics. I submit that to Mr. Castrovinci at the Title IX one highlight that I have to mention up there is the Booster Club. This year was the first year that Booster Club had to report the cost, the items donated to the school district, not what they have in their account, but if they fundraised and gave $6,000 in items for the team, for the team, that had to be reported. Believe it or not, that figure for 2013-14, $117,220. That is incredible. That buys me uniforms. That buys me things that I don't normally buy or cannot buy through our school district athletic budget. So based on our 2021 varsity sports, that is the figure that was reported to me in total. I do have the specific items that were donated, and I have to keep that as part of that Scholastic Athletic School office. So thank you to the Booster Clubs and launching that fundraiser for these items that we cannot purchase as taxpayers. Eastern Pennsylvania Conference Student Athlete Character Council. That is something that we have a few athletes from each school, of all 18 schools. They gather about once. They go over some training on character and leadership. In March, they have a field trip arranged to go to the Pentagon. Our local athletic director has a contact there. A year or two ago, I believe they went down to the Naval Base to do that. This year in March, they're going to the Pentagon. Senior male, Colin Ingram. Senior female, Morgan Pike, who was here. Junior males are Evan Fidelis and Brian Regal, and our junior female rep is Sarah Lewis. These are all athletes, and again, great kids that represent Easton Athletics, along with the 18 other schools, 17 other schools besides us. This evening, again, we'll recognize our scholar athletes of our league. They will receive an award from you. They will receive a medal from the league when they come in with our new league. And what I'll do is I'll have each of them come up in order. We have 2 or 3 not here this evening. I know 1 or 2 are at least sick with the flu and things going around, but we do have some here. So, Jordan Lucenotti, on the first, and if you go up to shake the hand of the board members and go around. Okay, George is girls soccer player. She's our representative. Congratulations, Jordan. And our scholar athletes are, again, the best of the best in their sport, based on academics and athletics. So, congratulations to Jordan. Have you made your college plans yet? Okay. Can you tell them where you're going to be attending?
I'm going to the West University.
Wow. Congratulations, Jordan. Thank you. Boys soccer, you know, maybe sick or have other commitments this evening. Field hockey, Alex Pennington. I know Alex is here. I'll get them at the end. Alex is here. Congratulations, Alex. And Alex has made her college choice, and we will do the college signings on February 4th, hopefully in the morning, around 9 o'clock, once we get that organized. So I'm going to tell them where you're going to be attending.
Attending Ohio University for the academic semester.
Courtney Horace, I know Courtney is here. Okay. Courtney, girls volleyball representative.
Great job.
Great job.
And if Courtney, I know she still has a little issue going on. Look at where do you think you're going to go?
Well, I am accepted to the United States.
I know Jacob and Colin could not make it this evening. I don't think they walked in late. Alex George is also here. Alex
Good job.
Congratulations, Dan. Nice job. Cynthia Blair, our girls tennis rep, I know did not make it this evening, but I will get those certificates to them. I have to say thank you to the parents and coaches because, again, these kids are highly ranked in their class. They're also great athletes. They're involved with many activities, not just athletics, and going to some big-time colleges. So, again, congratulations to our scholar athletes. Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, fall athletic season. We just you can see the numbers, the breakdown. This again will won that athletics disclosure form due next October, based on this school year. And I looked at the figures from last year when I did this presentation, and those figures are pretty much consistent, almost off one or two at the most. So that's how consistent our programs are with the numbers and participation. Flew fluctuate a little bit here and there, but for the most part, they're all very consistent. Next slide. And there you have the tennis going down to the cheerleading. The very bottom, we had approximately 580 athletes that made our teams, and we had about 68 that were cut or left the team, unfortunately, because of only keeping a certain number of kids in uniforms, spaces available. Fall season highlights, I won't read all of those. One of the most successful fall seasons I've been involved in since I've been athletic director since 2003. Some great teams, great athletes, again, some great scholar athletes. And a lot of playoff games were had and played by our teams. Championships. Lower level teams also have some very good records, which means some good teams are still coming up and some good athletes. Getting in the habit of what Mr. Case built in the department. The Bulldog got at the high school, so I was walking by it one day, and there are a few of the trophies that we've earned in the new Eastern Pennsylvania Conference. Those trophies are different from the old Lehigh Valley Athletic Conference. Okay, next slide. Academic eligibility, that is listed there by week. And if you look down at the very, very bottom, which is a great thing to see, is we only had 9 total athletes eligible. And most of our athletes are good students, good kids, stay out of trouble, and are very involved in our school. And most of those kids were not repeat offenders. Once they learn their lesson the first or second time, that's what hopefully the winter and spring season also. Okay, next slide. Rochelle Gilbert, our coordinator of sports medicine, put some things together here. 616 athletes came through the physicals in the 2 days that we had in the fall. Some of the financial details there that we collected based on those physical exams to help all doctors and staff run through those physicals on our student athletes. Student athlete injury evaluation at the high school looks high, 2,765. But if we average that out over roughly 90 days of the season, it spreads itself out. It's not as high, but that's every single kid that has come in, band-aids, cuts, bruises, sore back, sore toe, whatever it is. They now have a logging system to log everything on track. That way, if something happens to an athlete in August, and something reoccurs later in September, they can go back and see the track record of that student athlete. And at the middle school, we're working on doing that tracking over there. They will have one trainer at that facility. In the bottom, I see a paragraph there about the internship that we approved about a year ago with East Stroudsburg University. St. Luke's, again, Michelle put facts together there on what St. Luke's has done for us. St. Luke's has done incredible things with our student athletes. Rehabilitation, the professionalism with doctors coming to see our athletes. Highlight there, Saturday Sports Medicine Clinic. Our athletes are permitted to go over to St. Luke's, and they can be seen without an appointment if they were injured on a Friday night, especially football players, to be seen right away. To get them rehabilitation code, pain or discomfort to hopefully subside and get that corrected right away. That's for all athletes on a Saturday morning. The Wednesday, Dr. Rivero, a female doctor. There are a lot of female sports medicine doctors out there. That's great for female doctors. Female doctors to help them to rehabilitate and get back on track. They also offer a training program, which our baseball team is experimenting with, and the Booster Club and the team members actually pay for some sports-specific training, specific to baseball. Our own teams can pursue that on their own. That is not paid for by the district, but they do provide that service. St. Luke's will and organize times and sessions for those kids to get some special training to build those muscles in that body for that sport that they're going into this season. So another great thing from St. Luke's. Next slide. Here, right now, is my short list. We will have a few more that have not committed to this point. And again, as Courtney has said, Courtney Lars volleyball, she does not have a signing yet, but she intends to play women's volleyball at this point. At this point, she has to wait. But these student athletes, they've had the fall. The others will do that signing on February 12th, I believe that is, in high school and So, Towson University, getting the student athletes know. Kyle Waldman lost Nehemiah on neighbor Penn State, and then again, Alex was here tonight and said about Ohio University. So that's just a short list of college-bound student athletes that are getting scholarship or athletic money. We still have many, many more that will go on to participate in college or not participate in athletics in college, but use that as a stepping stone to continue their academic career. Winter season, we have so far, we're about halfway through the winter season. And again, not a lot to report there yet. Next slide. Revenue. You can see special event revenue, football, western season, pro basketball, Next slide. District 11 financial reimbursement policy. Just want to ask about this here. Some schools in our area, and they changed the reimbursement model a little bit. Schools receiving a little different cut than what they used to. football game at Cottingham is about $4,300. All right, to run. Some of those costs are fixed. Easton Police, 20% administrative fee, almost $300 a game. That is just charged to us. Assign a police officer that can go to the officers themselves. The city of Easton, which tax, I believe it's 5% of every ticket we sell to the stadium or in football.
Yeah, I have a few. First one's actually going to be directed to technology. So my wife is texting me that she's getting static and very difficult hearing the screen. I don't know if you guys could make that back to you. So thank you. Just looking at the injury, student athlete initial injury evaluations, I see 2,265. I just asked about the breakdown of the reporting of that. It says evaluation, escaping, rehab, and treatments. So you get an injury that's an event, I'll call it, and then they come back for some sort of secondary treatment, rehab, rehabilitation. That happens in another instance. I just because I thought that.
Keep track of everything that goes down that.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Jim, I'll make a comment. Really good information. When I looked at great news when you talked to me that I think was a all year
Could I just offer my personal thanks to you, Jim, and also to the high school administration, the Varsity E, parents, and to, I will say, to the administrative team, because we've all taken upon ourselves the task of trying to make sure that these events are safe and secure, not just for athletics, or the athletes, but also for participants and fans. And what did I see was the attendance number at Cottingham? About 5,500, roughly speaking. But when you think about any event that's going to draw 5,500 people, in an urban setting anywhere, you know, you've got lots of things to be concerned about. Well, it doesn't have to be an urban setting. It can be, you know, in the middle of nowhere. And you've got things that you got to be concerned about. And I am continually impressed by how organized the athletic department is and how they've got all of this down to a science, whether it's at Cottingham, whether it's out, big event out at the high school or at the middle school. They take the East
very seriously, and they attach a value to it like I haven't seen too many other places do. You know, and that transcends to the athletes. And that becomes part of this whole tradition that is not just in athletics, but it's in music and other areas. And we're very fortunate to have that in the school district and to keep that going. So I just want to say thank you for keeping your standards high, because that's exactly what this is. Standards are high. The kids, it transforms what you do into something far greater than what you probably would expect. Participants that we have in our programs are just gaining so much personal character experience.